Well, welcome back, guys. I'm going to be opening up with some bad news. So, uh, sorry. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way. But in this episode, President Trump announces the uh, the 20-year-old West Virginia National Guard member Sarah Beckstrom has died after being shot by an Afghan national in D.C. yesterday. Democrats and the media are scrambling to excuse weeks and months of inflammatory Democrat rhetoric. Andrew McCabe is now blaming the National Guard themselves. Hakeem Jeffries and the Democrat leaders are caught escalating dangerous language after threatening ICE. And the media is demanding President Trump retreat instead of restoring order. Stay till the end because I want your comments and your responses to these stories. It's heartbreaking. We went over this last night. We talked and we prayed. Sarah passed on, sadly. Now, I want to hear your comments in the comment section. I want to know your story, your thoughts about this. Let me know how you feel. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe, and share this video. Let's get started with the first story. All right, so President Trump announces her death, and we're going to just look at what he had to say and give our responses in the comment section.
Brett, thank you. We will turn to breaking news right now. The president, who is on a call right now with service members on this Thanksgiving, just broke some news about the two guardsmen that were shot in Washington yesterday. There he is right now speaking to those members. He just announced that one of those guardsmen, the female, Sarah Beckstrom, the 20-year-old from West Virginia, has passed away. That is coming directly from the president. We had some signals, some inclinations all day that might be the conclusion, that she was so severely injured in this attack yesterday, again, near the White House, that this might be how it would end for her. Sarah Beckstrom, 20 years old, from West Virginia, one of the National Guard troops patrolling here in the district, just had surgery today. And has now succumbed to her injuries. Andrew Wolf is the second guardsman. He is still in critical condition tonight. The Attorney General Pam Bondi spoke earlier to Fox News, said that the DOJ will pursue the death penalty if one or both of these soldiers happen to pass away. Want to bring on our panel now that's been standing by here, our Real Clear Politics White House correspondent, Phil Wegman.
Yeah, so that's a heartbreaking update. Okay, now here's her father calling into Fox News. I think it was a call in, but here's her father's call in and talking about the condition of his daughter.
We can share now what we know. 20-year-old Sarah Beckstrom and 24-year-old Andrew Wolf were the injured National Guard personnel. U.S. Attorney Jeanine Pirro says the victims were shot less than 24 hours after they were sworn in. Both are said to be in critical condition at this hour.
So the feds are now investigating the attack as an act of terrorism. They reveal what they know about the suspected shooter's background earlier today. Listen.
The suspect, he has been identified as Ramanullah Lakhanwal, a 29-year-old Afghan who entered the United States under Biden's Operation Allies Welcome, a program following the disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan. He resided in Bellingham, Washington, with his wife and, we believe, 5 children. What we know about him is that he drove his vehicle across country from the state of Washington with the intended target of coming to our nation's capital. As we stand here today, the charges that are appropriate right now are 3 counts of assault with intent to kill while armed. He will also be charged with possession of a firearm during a crime of violence. He faces 15 years under the assault with the intent to kill.
All right, the video must have been mislabeled because it did say that Sarah's father called into the station to express his conclusion that she wasn't going to make it. So I'm sorry about that. Now, in the wake of this, last night we talked about how this was a callback to what happened with Charlie Kirk, and how as soon as his death was announced, there were celebrations. I'm going to play some very disturbing videos right now. I played one yesterday, and I'm going to play a few because sometimes, you need to look in the face of evil to recognize it. These people are fighting for their lives, and these lunatics release these videos on TikTok.
As you may have heard, 2 National Guard troops were just shot in Washington, D.C. We don't know their exact condition yet, but we do know this. I'm going to tell you what no mainstream media is prepared to tell you. This is 100% Donald Trump's fault. Case closed, end of story, and here's why. These National Guard troops wouldn't even be there in that position if it wasn't for Donald Trump's unconstitutional, unlawful deployment of American troops to a U.S. city to stand around as targets while Trump expresses violent rhetoric on the daily, calling Democrats the enemy within, saying anybody who didn't vote MAGA is a domestic terrorist, they're Antifa. Of course, you have some lunatic lash out and try to be a hero and go after these National Guard troops. It's not their fault. It's Donald Trump's fault. He put them in that situation. He wants them to be targets. He wants our military to be slain so he can use it as an excuse to crack down on the rest of the country.
What an absolute idiot. I don't call people names, but when someone takes the conscious effort of flipping open their phone or turning on their phone and recording stupidity, you just have to inform them that they're being complete idiots. Here's another liberal letting us know that they lack any self-awareness or any sense of right or wrong or compassion.
This incident in D.C. is on Trump. Judge ordered that having the guard in Washington, D.C. was illegal. They should have been gone. They shouldn't have been there. None of this should have happened. Now he's gone ahead and put 500 more. Arrest the president. My name's Damien. I'm for democracy.
All right. Damien has introduced himself. Now, guys, what do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the chat. He's asking for the president to be arrested for deploying National Guard troops to enforce law and order in a city that had risen to, I think, #1 in the country for violent crimes. I'm going to play a couple more. I think I have several more reactions, and there are hundreds of these out there on the internet. There are hundreds of these out there on the internet.
I don't want anyone to act surprised that 2 National Guard members were killed today. When you declare a war on the people that's based on racism and hate, what do you think is going to happen? You think you're the only one that's armed? You think that this is just a one-sided G-side, like they're doing over there? Yeah, no. Yeah, no. I don't know the whole story. I don't know what happened. But violence breeds violence. Here we go.
All right, so according to her, enforcing the law and taking care of violent crime in Washington, D.C., where the residents are celebrating that violent crime has finally been essentially eliminated to a great part. As far as she's concerned, that's violence. And she's blaming the National Guards for engaging in violence, and therefore violence was visited on them. I'm going to read this chat. All right, now, guys, I need you to please engage in the chat, all right, because we can't let people like this take over the chat. Now, there's this individual. I'm going to read his chat, and you let me know what you think of what he just said. This is coming from the main channel. Mike Heimler. I don't know who that is. Okay. I can't believe this man. I guess he's referring to me. I don't care about race. Well, he's about to make it about race. I don't care about religion, right? I don't care about anything except now having to worry people like you, like this, are in our country right now. All right. So you're referring to the Afghan Mark Heimler. Okay, so not referring to me. These stories are disturbing. Last week, I did a report. About the increase in the calls for Sharia in certain parts of the United States. And I raised my concern about it. I said, look, this is not good. You guys need to, get your house in order. And to be honest, some conversations have to be had about this. And this is a very dangerous powder keg, because people will look at this and think that the American people now are profiling people from a certain part of the world and they are attacking them. But that's not the case. The case is violent crimes have been committed. And it happens to be that people from a certain part of the world are responsible for those violent crimes. You can't allow yourselves be shamed into becoming victims of stupidity like Europe is currently being. Europe has laid down and decided to become victims to a group of people from a certain part of the world who worship a certain way. All right, so Mark Heimler, I apologize. I kind of, when you're reading these stories, sometimes you see red, and I've been seeing red all day. So some of you who were part of the first live stream today may have experienced some of my concerns. All right. Mark Heimler also says, yeah, I don't care. The dude shot the defenders of this country. It's not okay. All right. It's not okay, Mark Heimler. Look, we need to call it out. We need to say the truth. We need to speak the truth. We just need to speak the truth. Intergalactic Wrangler is great to see you. Happy Thanksgiving. Okay, but we're talking about the fact that the National Guardsman has died, and we're having leftists jump out to celebrate or to start accusing President Trump of being responsible for their deaths. I have one more video of another person trying to spin this.
Hi, I'm Niall Stanage, the White House columnist for The Hill. I'm actually in Harlem today, but I hear news from Washington that 2 members of the National Guard have been shot, and I'm pretty mad about that. Now, to be clear, nobody should be shot, and the main responsibility lies with whoever is doing the shooting. It is also true that militarized policing is almost always a disaster. It is also true that the National Guard should not be on the streets of Washington, D.C., where there is no need for them to be. And the issue is they're being used as political pawns, and what always happens there, unfortunately, and we'll see what the motives were if they ever shot these people, but the problem is always that it is the foot soldiers who end up paying the price for political stupidity.
Well, what do you think about what he just said? Yes, he's from The Hill. All right, so let me bring up Intergalactic's Wrangler's chat here. He's from The Hill. And this is what they're doing. They are trying to figure out a way to blame the Trump administration for what happened. Let's remember why the National Guard was sent to Washington, D.C. Violent crime was very high. The local police department was overworked. They didn't have the capacity to handle violent crime in D.C. People were being mugged, and the only other way to escalate law enforcement was to call on the National Guard. Now, when people like this stand on their soapbox and try to preach and say, this shouldn't have happened, why is it that you hardly hear them pointing out the reason why this had to happen? For example, whenever you have them talk about ICE enforcement and they monologue about the ICE agents wearing masks, driving around in vehicles that are essentially unmarked, the concern and the fear in the communities where they might be visiting, how come they never talk about the fact that the Biden administration let in over 10 million undocumented immigrants, a few of whom have committed violent crimes against American citizens and also against members of those immigrant communities? Why is it that they never talk about that? You know, it's concerning. Intergalactic Wrangler says it's so horrible what happened. Yeah. Mike Heimler says there's no reason this should have happened. There is no reason. And when you have someone from another country welcome into yours, and the thank you that they give is to walk up to one of your federal agents, your citizens, and murdering them. Now, last night we were talking about this being assault. And yesterday, a few of us posted in the chat about how the death penalty is possible if this were a federal crime, and it is, because it is a crime perpetrated on federal agents. So this falls within the purview of the federal government. So I assume that the charges against this individual have now been escalated to murder in the first degree. He drove across state lines, went to Washington, D.C., got a gun, procured a gun, walked up, targeted federal agents, and shot 2 of them in the head. Let's pray that the second gentleman lives. Like, it's heartbreaking. Intergalactic Wrangler says, I guess he has a wife and 5 kids. I wonder if any of them are legal. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. And, you know, the concern will always be that when this goes to trial and when the conversation around sentencing and what happens to his family comes up, there are going to be people who are just going to leverage the fact that he has a wife and kids who don't have anything to do with this. But guys, I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? Okay? What are we doing? Right, so if you're watching for the first time, please consider subscribing to the channel. I don't want to forget to ask you to do that. I have a bunch of these stories lined up. Like tonight, I have stories lined up, but I want us to talk about this because this is a serious issue. It's a serious issue. Yesterday, we talked about how a federal agent being attacked was a huge thing, and that we didn't want this to kind of fall through the cracks like, you know, they weren't important. People were complaining that Charlie Kirk's assassination was being taken as such a big deal. Why was he being taken as such a big deal? Because was it because he was popular? Was it because he knows the president? We need to value every life. And honestly, we need to value the lives of those who put themselves in harm's way to protect their fellow citizens. And they were both shot. I believe Jeanine Pirro said that they were both shot within 24 hours after they were sworn in. My goodness, like, how does that happen? You just joined the National Guard, you were just sworn in, and the next thing you know, a lunatic out there who believes that the Democrat Party is going to protect him. Remember, all of this is happening in the shadow of that videotape that was released by those Democrats. And we've been saying that this is a call to arms, a call to action. We're going to see some bad actions taking place, and the people doing it will believe that the Democrat Party will protect them. And not a day or two after we said this, we have this horrible incident taking place. Let me know your thoughts in the chat. I can see a bunch of you watching and you haven't exactly expressed yourselves. Don't be shy. Okay, don't be shy. And we have a poll that's running. Please consider taking the poll and let us know your thoughts. Now, the question in the poll is this. Should inflammatory rhetoric targeting law enforcement be investigated? So far, a bunch of you say immediately, yes, it should be. Let's talk about this. Now, those of you in the backup channel, please don't be shy. Go ahead and let us know your thoughts. Those of you on the main channel, please let us know your thoughts. Now, Andrew McCabe, okay, I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna play this, and I hope, you know, I wonder at the humanity of some people who show up and say some very strange things on mainstream media.
So add to this very confusing picture the National Guard, who've been around in DC for a little while, so they're not quite as novel as they were in the first week or two. But these are folks who've basically been thrown into a pseudo law enforcement function, most of whom don't really have law enforcement backgrounds. And that adds, I think, a real wild card element to this thing. We don't really know how those folks would respond if confronted with a violent incident on the street with an armed person. So there's a lot of variability, I think, in the platform here, and so we'll have to just wait to see what more facts develop from the investigation.
So Andrew McCabe on CNN is essentially saying that the National Guard didn't know what they were doing because they aren't trained as law enforcement officers. The video that was made by the Democrats was created to sow doubt into the military and the armed forces. The statements like this that are being aired by mainstream media is to sow doubt in the minds of the citizens on the capabilities of the National Guard to do the job that they are being called on to do, because blue cities won't do the job. It's infuriating to watch this. Let's look at the chat. Tonight, I want you guys to, be a big part of this conversation. Mark Heimler says, people need to stop calling Trump racist for trying to stop stuff like this from happening. They're going to keep calling him racist. When Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and then they kept saying, we need to turn down the rhetoric. We need to turn down the rhetoric. Well, like, you guys are the ones, with the rhetoric calling conservatives Nazis and fascists. How come you're the ones asking us to turn down the rhetoric? What do you mean? Here's Hakeem Jeffries. This is Hakeem Jeffries. Okay, Hakeem Jeffries saying that okay, hold on. I just need to be sure. Okay, here he is. Just listen to what he says here.
Every single ICE agent who's engaged in this aggressive overreach and are trying to hide their identities from the American people will be unsuccessful in doing that. This is America. This is not the Soviet Union. We're not behind the Iron Curtain. This is not the 1930s. And every single one of them, no matter what it takes, no matter how long it takes, will of course be identified. That in fact is the law. And we're going to make sure that the American people have the transparency necessary to hold people accountable when there are folks who cross the line here in America. That's what's going to happen. And as I mentioned earlier, and I spoke to Congressman Nadler about this, our first priorities are always going to be making sure the person who was on the front line is in the best possible place.
So Hakeem Jeffries is, this was a while back, essentially saying that anyone who is enforcing federal law is going to be held accountable. Why are they hiding their faces? Well, this is why they're hiding their faces, because lunatics who believe that they are attacking fascists and Nazis and members of the Gestapo will target them and their families. Okay, so just like McHeimler says, people need to stop calling Trump racist for trying to stop stuff like this from happening, but they also need to stop attacking federal law enforcement. This happened in California. People were throwing rocks at federal agents. And you know what? The press ran cover for them, attacked anyone who called for accountability, that these people should be arrested. They attacked you, said, look, this is freedom of speech. They are protesting. This is their First Amendment right to throw rocks at federal agents. Come on. Like, what are we doing here? What are we talking about? All right, so let me know in the chat, all right? Now, here's something that I want you to answer. Do you think the media is protecting Democrats by blaming the National Guard instead of the rhetoric that led to this disaster? Because we watched the media, I've played several videos from the media, and it just seems like they're all sidestepping the elephant in the room. The rhetoric that Democrats kept pumping out into the airwaves. Okay? Rhetoric like this.
Donald Trump's modern-day Gestapo is scooping folks up off the streets. They're in unmarked vans, wearing masks, being shipped off to foreign torture dungeons. No chance to mount a defense, not even a chance to kiss a loved one goodbye, just grabbed up by masked agents, shoved into those vans, and disappeared. To be clear, there's no way for us to know whether they were actually criminals or not. It's not hyperbole to say we're not far from a world where anyone could get that knock at a door. And there's no guarantee you'd get your day in court or that you'd ever make it home alive from whatever corner of the world they stick you in. Now, if Trump and his folks want to come for Minnesotans, we need to make sure that there's a firewall that they have to come through before.
So you have governors, Democrat leaders, and the press pushing the same narrative. The National Guard are enemies of the community. They are the Gestapo. They are Trump's Gestapo. Someone gets killed, and you don't hear anyone in mainstream media calling this out. You might hear it on Fox News. I don't consider Fox News as essentially mainstream media, but they are. Okay, so they are the exception. So let me know your thoughts in the chat. Okay, guys, don't be quiet, don't be shy. Let's talk about this. Now, it's amazing. It's amazing that all this is happening. And the question that pops into my head is, how is this allowed to happen? Intergalactic Wrangler says, absolutely, legacy media is corrupt and so biased. Okay, it's crazy that this is happening. Why do you think it's happening? Yes, there's corruption, but how is this allowed to happen? Is the question that's running in my head. Okay. How is this possible that all this rhetoric can be used to inspire violence against federal agents, and there's no way of prosecuting people for doing it. I mean, if someone says something and there is a result like what we've seen today with the loss of a life, or results like what we see of what we saw on September 10th with Charlie Kirk, how come people aren't being prosecuted? It concerns me. I want to know what you think. What do you think? Now, we're not calling for random arrests and random prosecutions, but there has to be a consequence for using rhetoric that motivates people to act violently against the person that rhetoric was aimed at. People come on the live stream and they attack Trump and say that he was convicted of rape and that he was told to award E. Jean Carroll a bunch of money. And I'm like, well, part of that was because people who supported Trump attacked her on social media, and so she sued, but Trump was the person who had to pay for that. And they all go into cope mode and trying to defend the entire thing. So let's just say anyone who uses hateful rhetoric against people that they don't like should be prosecuted if any harm comes to those people. Every single person, every station, every influencer, every solitary individual who put out their violent rhetoric inspiring hate against someone should pay the price if any harm comes on that person. What do you think of that idea? Because there has to be a deterrent. Mark Heimler says, because people who never left middle school mentally are allowed to vote. Mark Heimler, I am inclined to agree with you. This is going to be a very difficult pill to swallow for a lot of people. There are people out there who want everyone to vote. But when you have people who can't even think beyond the 12th grade, they're like mentally stunted. In fact, they haven't even gone past the 8th grade. How can you depend on people like that to vote intelligently? It's just a question. It's a very delicate subject. It's a delicate conversation. All right. Now, I'm taking a course on the US Constitution. So I try to reserve my thoughts and my conclusions until I'm done with the course. Okay. So, but what do you guys think of what Mark Heimler said? What do you think about his statement? Should the United States revisit the question on who's qualified to vote, who's qualified to determine or to choose the leadership in government, locally, statewide and nationwide? Let me know your thoughts in the chat. Now, Slotkin, one of the individuals who put out that crazy video instructing the National Guard to not to follow unlawful orders, had this to say.
Myself and 5 others who are either former intelligence or former military officers put out a video restating the law that's in the Uniform Code of Military Justice. That if you're given an order that's illegal, according to the UCMJ, you have the ability to push back on that order. Legal orders should always be followed, right? I'm just talking about illegal orders. We had a ton of folks in uniform and a lot of veterans come to us and raise real concerns about things that they were asked to do or things that they were concerned they might be asked to do, particularly with the deployments of the National Guard and uniformed military into our city streets.
So she had this speech done somewhere in Michigan, and a few hours later, members of the National Guard were shot. Why is it that this is difficult for people to connect? Why is it so hard for people to see that their actions in second-guessing the commander-in-chief, attacking his policies, calling him a Nazi, calling the National Guard the Gestapo, attacking ICE in blue cities, trying to enforce federal law? How is it hard to connect the dots that all of these things are related? It's frustrating to kind of sit and I'm wondering what Sarah's family is going through tonight. I'm just wondering. Today was meant to be Thanksgiving, but tonight they're in mourning. She just got sworn in. They celebrated. She was happy. Her father was proud. Her community rallied around her, and they were all proud of her achievement. And within 24 hours, she's shot in the head. Within 48 hours, she's dead. And we're still mealy-mouthing about what caused it. And you know what? These people, Slotkin and her team, are going to continue doing their tour on mainstream media, and they're going to blame all of this on Trump. Intergalactic Wrangler says, that's almost insurrection and causes danger to our servicemen and servicewomen. But you know what, Intergalactic Wrangler? There are people out there that don't believe it's insurrection. They believe it's freedom of speech. They believe that Trump wants to intimidate them into silence. And like she said, they were only reminding the servicemen of their duty to not follow illegal orders. And whenever they were pressed to list or to name one illegal order that Trump has given so far, they don't give an illegal, they can't name one. And they say, well, we're telling them in case something comes up in the future. That is called poisoning the well. Whenever you instigate people to second guess their commander-in-chief, you're telling them you're priming them to engage in sedition. You're priming them for a court-martial. Because when you're giving an order, you can't sit in your foxhole and you're wondering, is this legal or illegal? It gets people killed. It could get you killed. It could get your teammates killed. I don't know about you, but you know, I'm tired of these games. I'm tired of these games. Like we're playing games that if we continue going down this road won't end. It's not going to end well. Already we have one casualty. Okay. All right. Now, don't forget to subscribe if you like the spirit of this conversation. Here's J.B. Pritzker.
Other than fighting crime. That's the first thing they should understand. The second is it's an attack on the American people by the President of the United States. Now, he may disagree with a state that didn't vote for him, but should he be sending troops in? No.
You said he has other aims. What are the other aims?
The other aims are that he'd like to stop the elections in 2026 or, frankly, take control of those elections.
So J.B. Pritzker, in this video, in this interview, is floating an idea, accusing President Trump of wanting to stop the elections. How is it that these things aren't things that you can sue these people for? And of course, his rhetoric is basically accusing President Trump sending the National Guard to blue cities as essentially unlawful. Mackheimer says we're playing games that no one wins, and that is why we're raising our voices. Personally, I'm raising my voice. I'm like, this is concerning. This is concerning. Essentially, the United States is currently the only real democracy in the world, on the planet, and these people are hell-bent on destroying it. Okay? Yeah, there are other countries where people vote. And notice I said the only real democracy. There are other countries where people vote, but not like the United States. And every other country essentially learned it from the United States. And these guys are just rampaging through the system, and essentially it's just hard to watch. Okay, it's hard to watch. Intergalactic Wrangler says word salad. Yeah, they say a whole lot of nothing, but do you know what? They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. There are trigger words that they use in their interviews. They have these trigger words that they use. And whenever they use these trigger words, the people listening to the interview stop listening. They've heard everything they need to hear. They don't need to say anything. They will still get the votes of these people who they are targeting with these trigger words. These people have been conditioned to respond every single time they hear these words. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to stop playing videos. I have other videos that I could play, but let's answer some questions. All right. At what point does inflammatory rhetoric become reckless endangerment instead of free speech? There's going to be a lot of defense coming from mainstream media and Democrats in the days to come. President Trump is ramping up to begin doing some things, and they're going to say, look, this is something he always wanted to do, and this attack on the National Guardsmen is giving him the excuses he's been looking for. In fact, they're going to start insinuating that President Trump orchestrated the assassinations of these servicemen in order to do the thing that he wanted to do. We're going to, I don't like saying these things out loud, but over the years, I've learned that sometimes when I perceive something in my heart, eventually it plays out. And I'm like, okay, maybe I could have warned people that I was thinking this and they should look out for this. For example, the video that came out over the weekend, during the first live stream we had this week, I said, this video is going to trigger a bunch of other effects. And here's what you're going to start seeing. You're going to start seeing Democrats standing in front of, press pools, and they're going to start saying these words. They're going to start saying illegal, illegitimate. They're going to be lacing it in their speech. They wouldn't accuse President Trump of doing something illegal, but they would drop that word in a sentence that kind of insinuates that they believe that those things are illegal. And it will trigger people who have watched the video, and they will begin to respond accordingly. I said it, and you know what? Right on cue, we had all these Democrats doing interviews and using the word illegal in their speeches. I was like, I called it. We talked about the fact that them using these words like Gestapo and Nazi and so on federal agents was dangerous and someone could get hurt. We said it months ago, and now it's happened. I don't take any joy in saying I was right or we were right. I wish to God that we're wrong about these things. But most of us in the chat and who are watching are old enough to know that these things matter. Okay? None of us is a child. We know how these things work. Okay? All right, so I'm seeing that YouTube is having some issues with the chat. Both YouTube platforms are having some glitches in the chat. Like it keeps disconnecting and reconnecting. So you guys just keep pushing your messages. I don't know why it's happening. YouTube has been glitchy for a few months. I don't know why it's happening, but just keep your messages coming in. Now, if you want to connect with me, let me just do this real quick. You can send email to the email on the screen, crossroadsirl@gmail.com. You can send email to that email address if you have a story that you want us to dig deeper on, or if you have a suggestion that you want to make, you can send your messages to that email address. I just wanted to put that up so that you can have that, know that it's available. Now, don't forget to please subscribe if you enjoy the content and the way we produce our commentary on the news. We go live weekdays, Mondays to Fridays at noon and 9 p.m. Eastern. Every day, Mondays to Friday, noon and 9 p.m. Eastern. So we would love to have you connect with us. Okay, so and when you subscribe, please hit the bell icon. Subscribe, hit the bell icon, because we have over 10,000 subscribers. But every time we go live, it seems like YouTube doesn't notify all 10,000 subscribers. So I suspect that some of my subscribers don't have the bell icon activated. So please, when you subscribe, make sure the bell icon has been selected too, so you get notified whenever we go live. All right, guys. I'm waiting for your comments. Okay, I'm waiting for your comments to come in the chat. I don't know what's going on with YouTube. Okay, but please consider sending in your thoughts in the chat. I really want to, have a few more words with you. Where we're on the backstretch of this live stream, and if you would like to have a say, I'm going to I'm going to close the poll. We have a poll running, so vote in the poll. We're about to close the poll in the next 60 seconds. The question in the poll says, should inflammatory rhetoric targeting law enforcement be investigated? So please vote in the poll, and then I'll be closing it in 60 seconds, and then I will be reading out the results up here before we wrap up. All right, now I'm going to do a roll call. Everyone who has contributed to this conversation in the chat, I'm going to acknowledge you. Thank you, Canary Kin. Thank you, Makheimla. You're new. I haven't seen your handle before. Thank you for contributing to this live stream. It's been amazing having you in the chat. Intergalactic Wrangler, thank you. As always, it's a pleasure to have you here. All right, thank you so much for being a part of the chat. Now, let me see if I left anyone out. The chat interface on YouTube has been acting out, but don't let that deter you. Okay, don't let that. Okay, Makheimla says, I'm gonna keep watching. And also says, you seem awesome. I appreciate that praise. That is high praise. Thank you for the kind words. And honestly, all I want to do is tell the truth. That's all I want to do. All I want to do is look at the news and tell the truth. The name of this show is Headlines and History. Now, I don't emphasize the name of the show, but the idea is look at the headlines that we're reviewing and where possible, look back in history and see what led us to this point. And that's why when we look at here's what's going on today, whenever we can, we look back and say, here's what led us to this point. Here's what the Republicans said, or here's what the Democrats said. And we try to connect the dots. Because if we can learn what triggered the reactions that we're seeing today, we can almost predict what actions are being taken today. We can predict what they're going to produce in the future. So I like to compare the actions with the reactions. And the reactions many times is what you see in the news. What we see in the news is a reaction to something that either the Democrats or the Republicans did. It's also a reaction to voting. If you vote a certain way, you're going to get certain results. Elections have consequences. So we can always connect the dots. It's not this miasma of incidents and we don't know why it's happening. You know, like whenever something horrible happens, the mainstream media says it's unclear the motives or what caused it. All you need to do is look back and trace and retrace the steps. And you know that this decision over here caused this headline that we're seeing. So that's why, you know, I'm going to do my best to keep working at making those connections. Thank you, Mark Heimler. I hope you're subscribed. I hope you're subscribed. I hope you hit the bell icon so that you can be notified whenever we go live. Like I said, we go live every day, Monday to Friday at noon Eastern and at 9 p.m. Eastern. Okay, so I'm going to end the poll now. I'm ending the poll. So on the main channel, 86% said yes. Inflammatory rhetoric targeting law enforcement should be investigated. On the backup channel, we have the answer. 100% said inflammatory rhetoric targeting law enforcement should be investigated. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Okay, Mark Heimler says, I hit the bell. Thank you. I subscribed and I hit the bell. Thank you so much. Now, Mark Heimler, am I pronouncing the handle properly? Because I'm trying very hard to kind of make sure that I respect everyone's pronunciations. Let me know if I'm doing a good job of pronouncing your handle. All right, guys, we're wrapping this up. Okay, don't forget to share the video, like the video. If you're watching and you haven't liked the video, please like the video. It lets YouTube know that you guys find value with the content that we're producing. And it also encourages YouTube to recommend the video to other people just like you, who are just like you. There are lots of people out there who are looking for like minds, people with similar convictions. Okay. And to be honest, they might vote, Democrat or Republican. It's not about what they vote, but having an open mind to discuss ideas and to make good decisions. Okay. Mark Heimler says, I pronounced his name perfectly. Okay, that is surprising. And he also says, you're the first person who actually did pronounce it right the first time. Okay, thank you. Thank you. That makes me feel good. When you read horrible news like we opened with today, with the death of the National Guardsman, you take every bit of encouragement wherever you find it. Okay, I actually, I like to kind of open up to my audience as much as I can. And I try to say, look, here's how I feel, or here's how I was feeling, so that you guys know that I mean, it's okay for you to feel a certain way, but here's how to respond or to react if you find yourself in that position. A few minutes before I started the live stream, I felt drained emotionally. Now, Canary King has encouraged me to take a break, so that's why I don't stream anymore on weekends. He's like, look, you need to take a break. It's draining because sometimes, like whenever all you do is go through the news and you're looking at the news and you know the things you're reading, the things you're watching affects you. Now let me know in the chat if it affects you too, or if I'm the only one. You're watching people literally set the world on fire, and then they tell you that you're a conspiracy theorist for believing that that's what they're doing, or that you're dumb, or you're stupid, or you're bigoted, or you're racist. Or they use all those words to try to distract you from what you can clearly see they're doing. Like, why are you breaking into my house? What do you mean I'm breaking into your house? You're racist for accusing me for breaking into your house. Is it because I'm holding a crowbar and standing at your door and shimmying it? How dare you? And they do stuff like that to accuse you in order to shame you so that you let them keep doing what they're doing. I see these things on the news, on mainstream media, on social media, and it's draining. So I sat here for about 10 minutes and I was just trying to decompress because I had seen so much in the news and I had just learned that the lady had died. And it was more like, okay, what am I going to do? Am I going to go through the news? Because what I usually do is I go through the stories and I wait till the end before I engage the chat. But today, I felt like we need to talk. I felt we just need to be free with each other and we need to talk. So I'm telling you that to say, look, sometimes whenever you feel drained or you feel overwhelmed by what you see in the news, sometimes you just need to, hang around with people who believe the same as you do and support you and actually can call you out if you're going the wrong way, and just talk to someone, and take action, move, just have movement, do something that would help you process the issues that you're dealing with. And then always keep moving. Don't enter into a state of depression. Don't give up. Don't stop moving. Okay, don't stop moving. If you're lacking motivation because you're seeing what's going on around you in the news and you just feel like laying down and not doing anything, don't do that. Okay, just decide that you're going to keep doing what you're doing. Keep moving, and then just find ways of motivating yourself. All right, don't do drugs. Don't do drugs. Don't do any of those things. And if you have an addiction that you're struggling with, that's the time to make sure you stay far away from that thing, okay? Because sometimes when all of these things overwhelm you, you're looking for something to numb you. Okay? You're talking to someone who has had an addiction, okay? And over the last few days, I have had to kind of call myself to the present to say, look, you can't let yourself slip into a state where you're open to that addiction. So I'm just trying to put that out there because I feel like many of us feel that way, especially when we have horrific news like what we went through today and yesterday. And we need that encouragement to know, okay, here's what you do. Be encouraged. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep moving. Find encouragement. Find a community. I hope this can be a community for you where we just talk and hang out and you find encouragement here. Okay. And sometimes when you post comments in the chat, it doesn't have to be something that is connected to the news or the story that we're dealing with. You can simply say, hey, I'm dealing with this. Pray for me. Just keep me in your prayers. Feel free to do that. Okay. No one is going to call you out. I'm not going to tell you stay on topic. No, this is that community because I know how it feels to be isolated and to feel like no one understands. And then you just get sucked into a very dark place. So I just feel like I have to put it out there because I did feel like I was in a dark place, for a while there. Mark Heimler says, it makes me sad It makes me feel like people are trying to take advantage of the fact that we don't want to kill people. And that is true. Like, I feel angry, if I'm going to tell you the truth of it. I feel angry that our moral discipline keeps us from lashing out and attacking people. I watch these videos and I get so incensed. I get so upset. I'm like, they do this because they know we have a lot of restraint. They know we have restraint. And they know they can push our buttons and we will restrain ourselves. And even if any one of us breaks out of that restraint and does something, they are counting on us to deal with it. Meanwhile, they have no restraints. They use our morals against us. You know, we have to be wiser to their game. They know that we don't engage in violence, yet they accuse us of being violent. They know that we place a very high premium on honesty and truth, yet they accuse us of lying. You have Jasmine Crockett accusing conservatives and Republicans of being the liars. Meanwhile, I can't find one place where she is told the truth on anything reasonable. They are counting on us to be conscientious, to be good, and they know that they can use our morality against us if we decide that we want to return the favor. It's frustrating. I don't know if some of you feel that way, but I feel that way. And I'm honest about the way I feel. I am. I'm like, I feel this way. But because I know I feel this way, I'm going to make a decision to simply tell the truth and make sure that everyone knows what these guys are doing. Shine a gigantic spotlight on the insanity that they are spreading across the world. That's what I'm doing with this channel. Shine a huge spotlight. So whenever you see this guy, okay, on the screen, standing up to say, well, Donald Trump is the problem, I'm going to play this video. He's gone up to say, I never called him a Nazi or a fascist. There are tons of video out there where he did. Tons of videos. Mark Heimler says, I will never stop moving. Don't stop moving. Don't give them the satisfaction of stopping. You know, I've said during, I think it was yesterday, I said during the live stream that I felt that the YouTube algorithm was working against the channel, but that I have chosen not to think that way. Because if I think that way, it's going to discourage me and it will, it's going to make me want to stop doing what I'm doing. So these days, I try not to look at the algorithm. I try not to think about the algorithm. I just think about the 5 or 6 or 7 people who join the live stream, who connect, and I want to give you 100%, even 1,000%. I want to talk to you like you're the most important people on the planet. I don't want you guys to feel like, I wish I were elsewhere. So I give it my all. I don't let whatever is going on with YouTube mess with my head. Like today, I kept seeing this error message, chat disconnected. Please wait, chat disconnected. I was like, how many people are trying to reach me, but they can't? But I refuse to be distracted. So you just keep moving. You never stop. You keep moving. So thanks, Mark Heimler. Thank you. Thank you. All right, we're at the top of the hour. I'm going to give you guys a few seconds if you still want to say a few words before we wrap it up. All right, but while we're here, is it okay if we say a prayer for the family? I know people say, keep them in your prayers, but is it okay if we say a prayer for the family? Okay, I want you guys to do a quick answer in the chat. I want to know we're all in agreement. All right, on the backup channel, on the main channel, just put a simple yes. Is it okay if we say a quick prayer for the family of Sarah? We prayed yesterday for her. Yes, she passed. Yes, her family is grieving right now. Okay, but let's pray for the Beckstrom family. So just say a yes in the chat. I need your agreement. I don't want to drag you into a prayer without seeing at least one or two yeses. Okay, just say a prayer for them. It's Thanksgiving and they're in mourning. I don't know how they can express Thanksgiving while they are in deep, deep mourning, the shock of losing their loved one. So just put a simple yes in the chat. A simple yes will suffice. I know that there's a delay, so I'm just going to wait a bit. So let me know in the chat. Say a simple yes. Makhaimla says I'm feeling for them. Yeah. Yeah. So I have a yes from Makhaimla. Can I have another yes? Even though I can go ahead, but I really need to know that they're, because I know other people are kind of listening to the live stream and they're doing other things. Maybe they're cleaning up after Thanksgiving dinner. They're doing other things, but just say a simple yes. If there's anyone that can be number two, we'll just say a quick prayer. Makhaimla says, my mom was in the National Guard. This could have been her. Yes. Well, guys, if it doesn't happen to you, be thankful. Be thankful. But whenever it happens to someone else, you just know, but for the grace of God, that could have been me. That could have been us. That could have been us, And we try to mourn with those who mourn. And one way to do it is to pray for them. They may never know our names, but we just pray for them and lift them up. Okay, so I will just say this prayer. I guess the rest of you are saying yes, but you can't reach your phones or your devices right now. So let's pray. Father, we come in the name of Jesus and we lift up the Beckstrom family, even now as they grieve the passing of Sarah. We ask that you surround them with your grace and comfort, that you give them the capacity to grieve and to honor the memory of Sarah and her service to the country, that this would not be a black mark on their family, but it will be a source of peace and of contentment, that they have made a sacrifice, one more sacrifice to contribute to the freedoms that Americans believe in. Let the family be healed. Let the memory of Sarah not be a sore memory. Let it not be a memory of bitterness, but let it be a memory of joy. We ask that you surround them with love and grace and peace, and let their loved ones around them cover them and help them through this trying period. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you so much. And Jespos, thank you, Jespos. Thank you. I saw your yes. Thank you for adding your yes. All right. Amen. 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 Thank you. Thank you, Jespos. Please remember to subscribe and hit the bell icon if you haven't. Hit the like button. We're going to be back live tomorrow at noon and also at 9 p.m. Eastern. Makhaimla says, her family deserves to be lifted up out of all of their problems for this tragedy. I agree. I said yesterday that during next year's Veterans Day, I was looking forward to both of them standing and receiving a national honor during next year's Veterans Day. Do you know what? Sarah passed, but I'm looking forward to seeing her family honored next year, standing up on that podium and being honored by President Trump. And also for her colleague who was also, I hope he makes a full recovery. Okay. That's my prayer. We would love to see that, wouldn't we? So so that's it for tonight, guys. Jespos 1747, thank you for lending your voice, agreeing that we pray for her family. Thank you for being a part of this. Hope you're subscribed. Hope you hit the bell icon. Hope you liked the video. Hope you shared the video. All I need from you is to please support the channel with showing up whenever we go live. Even play the live stream in the background, okay? If you can't chat, at least just watch the live stream play in the background. But one of the things that we hope is that whenever we go live, you join and then you contribute to the chat. Makhaimla says, be a good man. Glad I found you. I'm glad we're finding each other. I'm glad we're finding each other. So I just hope you can make it back. I will work hard at making this channel a valuable place for you, and try to make it as big of a blessing to you as we possibly can. Jespos 1747, my pleasure. Thank you. I appreciate it. Every time I hang out with you guys, I enjoy just hanging out and talking with you and knowing what you think about the news. I have a bunch of stories that I didn't cover today. Maybe we can cover it tomorrow if the news cycle will allow. The problem with the news cycle is sometimes when I think I'm going to be able to move some of the stories from the previous day to the next day, something else happens and we just have to talk about that. But I'm glad that you guys were able to join me tonight on this Thanksgiving night. May the spirit of Thanksgiving live in your households. May you always find peace and joy and encouragement when you need it. You took the time to grieve with the Beckstrom family, even though they never knew or know of your existence. They may never know of your existence. It's fine. We're grieving with them. We prayed for them. We're feeling for them, and that's good. We don't need a badge of honor. We don't need recognition. We just need to be good people in our own private lives and let that shine in a little way, to be a blessing to those around us. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. I hope to see you tomorrow. We're going to be back here at noon tomorrow, noon Eastern time. Okay, so you can set your clock. And also same time tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern time. I would love to see you guys tomorrow. I appreciate you guys, and I'm looking forward to doing big things with you guys during our live stream. Thank you so much, and God bless you. See you tomorrow.
Welcome to Headlines and History, live news reactions and your views. We're about to go live soon, so grab your spot and get ready for a sharp, balanced take on today's biggest news stories with a dash of historical insight. Stay tuned. Each week, we tackle the headlines that matter: politics, economics, global events with a balanced lens. We'll react live, tie today's stories to historical moments, and spotlight your views in the chat. From trade talks echoing the 1990s to crises recalling 2008, we're here to unpack it all. Your voice drives the show. Share your thoughts or historical parallels in the live chat, and we'll dive into the best ones. It's news, context, and community all in 1 hour. We're moments away from launching Headlines and History. Stick around for live reactions, historical nuggets, and your chance to chime in. Hit the notification bell, prep your comments, and let's make sense of the news together.